Hi everyone, and welcome to the update for today. It's Friday, July the 24th, 2026. And this morning I woke up bright and early, as tradition goes, for a Friday. Yes, indeed, I did have the accounting office. It was a 5 to 2 shift. We're now back to the traditional 5 a.m. start rather than those 4 and 4:30 things that we were experimenting with on the Fridays and Saturdays right after the transition to the new system. We're back on 5 a.m. as a regular, basically back going the way that we normally go, and we've made the adjustments to the schedule to make it work out. I mean, the order of operations. So we're pretty much back on the schedule of Fridays normally being a 5 a.m. day. Excuse me. And today, honestly, though, from an accounting standpoint, was just about as good as it gets. Nothing was out of balance. There were no big mysteries, no head scratchers, no tech failures, no big lottery issues. As a matter of fact, one of my colleagues, one of my backups, again, Rochelle, who I mention quite often here, she was working the service counter, and she dealt with refilling lottery and whatnot, which took like half an hour of work away from me. And I ended up getting through the entire operation from start to finish in about 4 hours and 29 minutes, I think it was. And so anything under 5 is considered making good progress. So it was a really good day in that regard. So I was really starting to wonder, oh my God, long day after long day after long day. Was I ever going to get back to the short days again? Yes, indeed. So I think this new process, we're pretty much getting there. So we're pretty much getting there. That's terrible grammar and means nothing, but we're moving in the right direction. Let's put it that way. And we're really getting to a sense of normalcy. So that was good. And afterwards, had again 3.5 hours left to kind of help out. Basically, did bagging, which again is one of my favorite things to do. And that's not even sarcasm, that's legit. And then about half an hour covering a lunch break on carts, my last 30 minutes of my day. So honestly, this was a really good day, enjoyable day being at the store. So yeah. Afterwards, went to the gym. Again, still working in a cardio component to it. Hopefully, I want to ultimately increase my workout length by 15 or 20 minutes so that I'm not taking a large chunk of my weight portion committing it to cardio. But that was going to have to be something that's going to happen after Mom's move and once there's a bit more time to breathe in my existence than there is at the moment. So, afterwards, again, because life is about balance, left the gym, went straight to Chipotle, and I was thinking about it this evening. My next budget cut is going to be eating out. Again, I do Taco Bell more than anything else, and that's a budgetary thing. Because, again, it's very expensive. Well, I don't want to use the term very expensive, but right now this is kind of because of all these situations involving family and whatnot. This is a year of austerity for me, and that is the next area that I really should start focusing on. Don't know if I'm really going to pull the trigger and become completely committed to that aspect of it yet, but that is something that needs to happen, and it's an easy way to again get some austerity in there. So how's that for a phrasing? Get some austerity up in there. Anyway, after that, went to the tanning place, and then started the bedroom swap. I mentioned again that as part of this furniture receiving and renovation thing that we're doing, the bed that's currently in one room is getting moved over to the blue wall room that got emptied out, and this bed that's coming up from there is going to take over in the slightly bigger room. And so, moving on along with that process, it's now starting the process of dismantling that bed, or at least kind of pulling it apart to move the components into the room that was empty to rebuild it in there. And that's kind of where we are with that process. And you know what? I got about 5 minutes or so into that. And, basically start looking under the bed, and there are a couple of boxes under there. Alright, so pull those out. And again, this is a room that Mom and Dad would use when they came to visit. And again, Dad had things all over this place from years of being able to use this as a crashing pad and whatnot. Anyway, so, and this is one of those boxes, alright, that I found under the bed. And I started sorting through it. And, it's mainly photographs. Alright. Now, and we're going to take a look at a couple of these, depending on how gabby I get over the next, 4 minutes with the amount of time that I have left. And who knows, if it's interesting enough, I might talk a little bit more about this and other updates, just going through a few more of these. But the first one has the biggest connection to us personally, so that's the one I'm going to spend the most time on. It might be actually the only one. Who knows? Anyway, so, and so here, I have this photo album in front of me that I also discovered a couple of days ago looking through another collection of Dad's stuff. And what this album shows us, and I am going to adjust the camera here and hopefully not everything falls apart, which I'm sure it will, as I move this tripod around. Anyway, this is awkward, isn't it? Alright, so I'm moving the camera to look basically more straight down at these pictures and whatnot here. And what we have here is again, an album from the San Francisco era. Dad lived in San Francisco in the 70s and early 80s. And this is a collection of pictures from that era. And this is about a bar called Toad Manor. Okay? And there's Dad in this picture. And he's the guy in the suit up there. And these are the only two pictures that I have found so far of the inside of this bar. But a lot of Dad and his friend group's antics and whatnot and adventures go on in this bar right here. And this is the guy that ran that bar. His name is Robert or Todd. You can see that this is in 1975. That's Dad there. And they're doing some kind of Christmas tree collection thing. Dad was somehow affiliated with this bar. I don't exactly know how. It's kind of mysterious. Sometimes it sounds like he was a bartender, manager, co-owner. I'm not exactly sure what their arrangement was. And with this cast of characters, you could only guess. And so that's a little bit of backstory there. Because when I'm looking through Dad's pictures here, of this picture box that I found tonight, one of them, this first one here, this gentleman right here, this was a movie shot from a movie called 1 Hour Photo. And this movie came out in the, turn off the light here, high school or my early college era, somewhere around there. Anyway, the interesting thing about this particular picture here is that this gentleman right here, the main actor in this movie, was actually the brother of this guy here, the owner of this bar, this Toad guy, and so Dad knew this gentleman here actually quite well, and there is actually somewhere out there exists a photograph of actually when this gentleman babysat me while Dad was off doing something with this guy here. And that actually happened on a couple of occasions. So, of all these pictures in this box over here that I found today, this particular one figured I'd spend the greatest amount of time on. And that kind of brings us to the end of today's update. If this stuff is kind of interesting, I might look at a few these more other pictures at another occasion, but there's really no good family story there. Anyway, thanks for